It is time to talk St. John's Red Storm basketball for the first time this deep into March that I can remember. The Johnnies making huge headlines today. Rick Pitino is back in the Big East. Father Brian Shanley, the president at St. John's University, got it done. 6-year deal, right around $20 million. Rick Pitino in Queens. Rob Doster. What does this mean for St. John's University basketball?
Everything. It means everything. Like I told you guys this before we started going live, and I said this on our instant reaction show earlier today. But I think that if you put Rick Pitino on, like, if he coached this team this year with Posh Alexander, with Joel Soriano, with David Jones, right? Daniel Jones is the Giants quarterback. I always get those two confused. With AJ Storr, like, I think that Pitino probably has them in the tournament and might even have them like borderline top 25 this year. I look at that roster, I look at the way that he wants to play, and it's already built for him. Like, he doesn't have to go out and remake this thing. He's already got guys that he needs. You know, like, just imagine Posh Alexander in the Russ Smith role. Laval, come on. That right there. That's what he wants, right?
Yeah, he ain't Russ Smith though. But it'd be a coach.
Oh, I just brought up bad memories, didn't I?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah,
Come on, Rob.
I've seen those.
You know what, Laval, he is an idiot.
See, I told you.
No,
Coach?
You know what? It's the Big East on top of conversation right now, John. 3 teams in the Sweet 16 and the 2 coaching hires. Look, Coach Pitino in New York, Madison Square Garden for the Big East. Like, I'm happy for Val Ackerman. Yeah, you look at when the shift was made, and Syracuse leaves and Pitt leaves, and all the realignment, and obviously strong basketball. The strength of basketball remained with Villanova and a couple national championships. But no, you lose Jay Wright, but now you get Coach Pitino, Coach Cooley with the move. And so it's great for the league. Obviously, it's tough when Coach Pitino getting back in at Iona, and people had a lot to say about that, him coming back into the business at all, all the stuff that happened. But he can coach. He's taken multiple universities, is not a coaching thing at all. The man can coach. It won't take long either. That's the thing, John. I would say this to most people: don't plan on either one of these taking too long to be back up in the top, mid to top half of the league pretty quick. Like, don't. It's
going to be the turnaround is going to be really quick for Georgetown. To me, St. John's already could have been there, right? Like, they had the pieces to be good this year, but for Georgetown, like, just buckle up. They're going to find a way to get that done.
But here's my spicy take. I think St. John's will get it more quickly done than the Hoyas, because St. John's and talent, they already exist. They have existed. St. John's hasn't had the right head coach for a long time. They're out of the darkness. And I respect the people who were previously leading the program. It's not about that. It's not taking shots. I'm not in that realm. The fact is, they've tried to do the big press conference win. They tried it with Chris Mullin. Steve Lavin was a big press conference win. Love Lav. But it didn't work. Mike Anderson, it just never fit. Rick Pitino could fit anywhere. And guess what?
He has.
He has. And he might fit best in New York City, where he knows what the bright lights are. He knows what can happen if he gets rolling. He knows what Madison Square Garden can turn into, and he knows the Big East, the backroom deals, the mafia, the meatballs, the basketball. Rick Pitino knows all that stuff. He is Big East basketball.
He is.
St. John's fans should be celebrating. There should be a parade down Utopia Parkway. Gone are the days of we won the offseason and now we're going to have a letdown. St. John's can compete. to make a Final Four in the Rick Pitino era. It can happen, St. John's fans.
That's saying a lot to get to a Final Four, but I do think that they are going to be.
I said can compete.
So here's my take on it, and Laval, tell me if I'm crazy here. I think that with Rick Pitino, St. John's is immediately a top half of the Big East team. Right? Like if you look at the top 5 in the Big East this year, it was Creighton, Providence, UConn, Marquette, and
Xavier.
Right? All 5 of those teams were top 25 teams at points during the season. We thought they were top 10 to top 15-ish kind of teams, right? I think St. John's immediately becomes a part of that conversation with Rick Pitino at the helm. Now, does that mean they can make a Final Four? Who knows? You have to be able to combine luck of the draw, playing well 4 games in a row, getting the right talent. You got to have a certain level of like NBA guy there if you're going to be able to make that run. Pros just win in March. You got to get some really good guards, but I won't put it out of the picture. I think you're right, though. They are going to be in the mix and relevant every single year, starting next year, assuming he gets Posh and Joel back. And I think the fact that Mike Anderson was let go, like, what was it, a week ago, and Posh and Joel, they're not in the portal. We hear about everybody else getting in the portal. How many guys are in the portal right now? Probably like 2,000 by now, right? Posh and Joel aren't there. David Jones isn't there.
Yeah, I would say both teams have some. Look, Georgetown wasn't devoid of talent. Like Brandon Murray is a good player. Spears, I know he's in the portal now. And I can't remember the kid from Arizona State that transferred in. And then Storrs is a really good freshman for St. John's. I liked him a lot. And obviously you got, Joe, the big fella Soriano and Posh. And so there's pieces there. Here's the thing. You throw in now it's legal, right, John? That's the acronym for NIL. So you throw that in to it, and now it's the support systems around, because this is a thing now in college athletics. And every coach I talk to, the portal's hopping, and the first thing that comes up when you're talking to NIL. And so Georgetown, and St. John's, in terms of where they are with all of that, I don't know, but I'm sure that was a big part of the conversation with Coach Cooley and the administration, and like, hey, what's the vision and what's the mindset around it? Big conversation about Pitino and all those people that love St. John's. That's great, but this thing is a real thing. And so now, Villanova won't stay down. So I agree, Rob, when you're talking, when Connecticut came back into the league, I was in the league. Great for the Big East. Not great for everybody in the Big East.
It's true.
Hey, Laval,
I'm dead serious. This was the conversation. Every coach was like, man, that's great for the league. Madison Square Garden will be packed. But man, Connecticut back in the league. Like, it's immediately they rise. They're going to be in the top 4.
Let me tell you something. Wait, hold on. I got to tell you something. Last week, I am at the Big East tournament, and I'm in the hotel room in the Marriott. It is championship Saturday morning, okay? So that, by elimination, would eliminate Marquette and Xavier. Another coach from a Big East school calls me at 7:40 in the morning. I am half asleep. I'm like a bear at the Marriott. The shades are closed. I mean, you could barely reach me, but something struck me to answer the phone. I answered the phone. It was this coach. He will remain unnamed. And he goes, damn, man, is Pitino getting St. John's? I said, yeah, I think he's going to. And he goes, shit. He goes, there is no way I'm going to be able to compete with that. Well, that's what the collective other Big East coaches were saying today when they knew.
That's the same thing, John, when UConn came. It was like, because they immediately go up there. Like,
I think that's why Providence fans are so frustrated right now, right? Because now, if you look at it, you're already the top 4 in the league are going to stay the top 4 in the league. I don't see Marquette, Providence, Creighton, or UConn really dropping off next year, right?
Providence will drop.
Marquette, Xavier. Sorry, Marquette, Xavier, Creighton, UConn.
No,
I don't think they're going to drop off.
Connecticut, Xavier, Marquette, and Creighton. Like they're there. They're not going anywhere.
St. John's, they're there. They're now in that conversation too. Georgetown, it ain't going to be long before they're in that conversation too, right?
Nova's Nova. I'm just telling
And
you.
Nova's Nova. Like they're not
So
staying
you're
down
talking
forever.
7 right there.
Yeah, that's 7 in a league that gets like 5 to 6. So all of a sudden, this just became, to me, I already said it, that the top of this league was the best of the best of any league in college basketball. I said it this year. Even when the Big 12 was rolling, everybody laughed at me. Look how many teams they got in the Sweet 16 now. Where you at, Big 12? You got 2. We got 3. What's up? But then now you got to figure, like, poor DePaul, right? Like, what are they going to do, man? What are you going to do?
Like,
it's
a
hard.
fight.
Do?
It's hard,
I feel for him.
Honestly, what a difference a year makes for Villanova. Like, what a difference a year makes for that program, because they're not going to stay down. Laval just said it. But
no, here's the thing, John. They're going to recommit. I can tell you this. I know this. They lost some guys in recruiting because of NIL. That's not what Nova, the people that support them, want to hear, but they had to hear. They're changing it. They won't lose those guys. That's a real factor.
yeah, it is. It is.
Hey, I got a real quick question for you, Laval. And you can go as long or short as you want. One of the biggest criticisms that I've seen today is people saying they don't like the way that Ed Cooley handled this because he was being courted by Georgetown while the season was still going on. And I'm not defending the way that Ed handled it, because I think he probably could have used a little bit of help from the PR guy handling this entire situation. I don't think it was as clean as you would want it to be. It's never going to be clean leaving it. But when you are being, I guess, recruited or courted or targeted by another school while you're the head coach at a certain program, like, it's not uncommon for that to start in like late February, early March, right? Like that process gets moving, and it's not them specifically calling you, they're probably calling your agent, right? It's just kind of, can you walk people through what that process is and how it kind of happens? Because I think a lot of fans would be shocked to know, like, when the wheels start moving on a lot of these things.
Those conversations, look, if every athletic director has a list, if there's a change to be made, just similar to the way every head coach has a list for assistant coaches, like you kind of have it in case you lose someone. Those conversations, they're happening a while ago behind the scenes. The coaches, that's why you have representation, so you don't have to have the conversation, so it's not a distraction. And you're there's a gauge on how real the interest is, and how likely something is to happen. But that's not Ed's conversation or Coach Pitino's conversation to have. But it's not like it just, yesterday they start talking. It was, in the event that, something happens, would you be interested? And the most recent conversation gets down to the nitty gritty of, okay, here's the details of what I think it's going to take. And if they can do that, now you got to answer the question. So I think Ed genuinely did not know what he was going to do. Because it's home, it is home. It is Providence. He did build it.
Yes.
He loves that play. He loves it there. So, fans that like have something to say, it's like, stop it. Like, he's at a place that he loves for 12 years. He's home, and he had more pride in doing what he was able to do there. I think Coach Pitino was really probably thinking about what he was going to do.
Well, that's what I was going to say, is like Pitino went through the same thing with Iona. Like those rumors started flying.
Because he's done it. Like, think about what Pitino if he could sit there and say, man, if I could do it at Iona, because I've done it at Providence, I've done it at Kentucky, I've done it at Louisville. So what if I just sat here and stayed and did it at Iona? Like, I know I could go to St. John's and potentially do it. That's intriguing for a guy like him who's done it at the big levels, to be able to say, hey, maybe let's take this challenge on.
Yeah, and I do think that with Cooley specifically, the circumstances, it's a conference rival. You're playing for you're coaching your hometown team. The attention that any move in any rumor is going to get. I think that also played a role in some of the level of maybe distraction, some of the level of outside noise, right? Like, I don't think you saw the same level of noise when other coaches are like Todd Golden left San Francisco to go to Florida, like literally the day after the NCAA tournament, but it wasn't, it didn't get the same level of attention because it was a guy from San Francisco going to Florida, not a guy from Providence going to Georgia. You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
Coaches get talked to behind closed doors all the time. This isn't a new concept. I don't understand why people are so upset about it.
Today's episode is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy, the easiest place to play college basketball pick'em, where you can get a little extra sweat during March Madness and win real cash prizes simply by picking player stats in this weekend's games. In pick'em, all you do is predict whether a player will go higher or lower on Underdog's projected totals, whether that's points, rebounds, whatever. For example, if you're like me and you think Zach Edey is going to go nuts in this tournament, pick higher on his points projection, add up to 4 more picks, and if you hit them all, you can win 20 times your money on a single game. Underdog's slick mobile app is easy enough that dummies like Jeff Goodman have even figured it out. So go to underdogfantasy.com or download the app and use the code FIELD, F-I-E-L-D, and Underdog will match your deposit up to $100. Now is the time to get in on the madness. So remember, underdogfantasy.com, promo code FIELD.